Gorgeous. So, this is not the house. You've been with us from the beginning. This is actually where it all started. This is the original river house and was originally hoped to be salvageable, at least in a temporary sense, so that we could live in it and build the other one. And then it almost immediately became clear she is not salvageable. What I have been doing is trying to turn this large room here into the wood shop. That's what the two big light fixtures are always for. Big table saw here, sort of in the center. A couple of work tables coming off the side. It's so much better than it was, but this place has been the catch-all for garbage and, of course, lumber storage. I've put that together. I used to have all of that lumber stored right here and then going into this room. So I have, well, Shay really, we ripped down the walls of what was their bathroom. Those two have got electrical wires going through them, so they get to stay for a bit. Yeah, and then I reused it to build shelving units out there and out here. Those are the door frames. We pulled all the doors out of here. Oof, I gotta empty this. Pull all the doors out of here, and we will install them in our house up above, at least temporarily, because I have decided I just can't eat the $3,000 some odd dollars for the doors, so I'm gonna make them. Doesn't feel that hard, right? It's a couple of rectangles and then some other hollow rectangles they fit inside. It doesn't feel that hard to do some sort of a two-panel door. Got my eyes on some big larches that passed away 2 years ago at Mom and Dad's. So this spring we'll put them on the ground and cut them on the sawmill, and I'm hoping we can get some nice straight grain larch. But then it has to be conditioned for a few years. Well, it has to be conditioned for a year, certainly. So yeah, I needed some temporary doors. So that's kind of actually where this all started. So I'm going to rip the doors out of this place to put them up there, and then I have to move my wood shop. The current wood shop in Plains is on the second story, and the stairwell, you can't get a sheet of plywood up it. The only way to get a sheet of plywood on it is to strap it and then hoist it up with the old elk lift on the front of the building. And then once I get it in, I can't even deal with it, because if I have it full 8 feet back, I'm literally crammed against the back wall. So if I'm going to build doors and stack them and stain them, it had to be in here. So that was the idea. So right now I'm just trying to get it cleaned out enough. I also have kitchen cabinets on the way. Those definitely need to be stored inside, and they need to be sprayed, but they're not done. So I don't want to spray them. Well, we might end up spraying them and then putting them up. They don't have doors or drawers yet. So we might end up spraying the cabinet carcasses and putting them up in the kitchen. That certainly could be done. But after that, regardless, they need to be stored someplace where I could then spray them. And my hope is that we could maybe store them on this side temporarily, and then I could haul them out there and stretch paper, staple it to the ceilings, plastic rather, build a plastic spray booth, and then spray them on that floor in there. Anyways, that's the end all goal. This is all alder. So this has all been sorted and stacked. That's what I have left for the remainder of my cabinets. It should be more than enough. Yeah, it's kind of a mess in here. As far as actual updates on the house itself, it is completely painted, top to bottom. Everything turned out fine. That's not true. Everything was a frickin' mess. So, long story short, I had done a lot of research and picked my paints. And it was a Velspar, and it was the middle of their line paint. It actually scored much higher than everybody else's. And I found where I could get it cheap at Lowe's. So I screenshotted what I wanted, and I sent it to my wife, who was going to buy it with her father's discount. And but I told her father, who does this, that I don't do this. So if he feels I'm really truly making a mistake, then he has my permission to go a little bit above. Well, my wife never bothered to open the screenshot. She went in, asked the Lowe's guys, nice enough guys, right? But don't do paint. What's your middle grade? Well, they took them to something that was a $50. I do everything in 5-gallon buckets, right? So an extra $50 a bucket. I have no idea what that works out to in gallons per 5-gallon bucket. And her father looked at that and he's like, it's always better to go with a little higher quality paint. So he went, and when he ordered it, he ordered Sherwin-Williams using the Velspar paint code. He just brought it in, wasn't his fault. And they said, sure, we can do that. Anyways, get it up on the walls. It begins to dry. That son of a bitch was pink. Not like, oh, there's a little pink, but like nobody argues Miss Piggy Pink. Whole damn house, Miss Piggy Pink. So I'm like, oh my God. I just painted 3/4 of this house. And bring in Danny. And I was already furious because between her and her father, they had spent $75 a bucket. More. It was way more than the budget could uphold. I mean, we were already at, gosh, with the PVA primer, it was like $1,600, $1,700 in paint. And they're coming in at just under $3,000. It was just crippling. Anyways, she looks at it and is like, hey, this is what you guys bought. This is what you have. That's not how it works. So, mother-in-law, she's really good at returning things. She's like, I'll get him to get it back. So we brought all the buckets and bucket lids, brought it back to Lowe's. They got all the money back. I just, without telling anybody, I drove to Missoula, picked up what I want, came back. And resprayed that same 3/4 of the house. And just last weekend finished spraying the rest of it. Such a treat for you guys. Such a treat. It's all done now. I'm very happy with it on the walls, especially where we've got 2 coats of very expensive paint on top of primer, so very luxurious. And the rest of it is fine. Except on my window wells. I swear I went and I hand polished because I wrap my window wells so I don't have to deal with wood trim around them. Anyways, I was positive I had it done, and nothing like a final coat of paint to show you where everything is screwed up is. So, anyways, it's all done. And everything's just sort of sitting there now. Need to do flooring. I want to put flooring down in the front entryway, flooring in the bathrooms, so that we could start setting cabinets and toilets so that the house can have some actual plumbing in it. That's the end goal. Putting it off because, like I said, I need to sell some army trucks or something because we're getting my taxes back. Anyways, we're just putting it off for a little bit. The current plan is to go to Creston Auction. If you know anything about Western Montana, Creston Auction is the place where everybody brings their garbage and resells it. But there's a lot of odds and ends from building construction around the valley. Anyways, I'm hoping that we can come across a handful of like bathroom vanities or something like that that I can install, at least temporarily, to get the house livable, because my goal is to get us through the occupancy and electrical inspections so that we can live in the house, so I can rent our other house so that I can get a little money to work on finishing. So that's kind of the goal. And then, you know, a couple years down the road, we can rip out those cabinets and replace them. Like I said, I have that alder right there. It would be close. It would, well, the bottom of that stack is birch. It's probably not going to do the rest of the house, but you give us a good hard swing at it, you know? It might get the master and the downstairs bathroom or something like that. Anyways, I'm just going to have to start building this stuff. Is simply too much money. It's too much money. This house is so delightful. These two cabinets are quite heavy. You can feel as you walk by. Whoa, gravity changes. I removed all this weight. I had all that wood stacked in this one spot right here, and most of it was going sideways. Well, sideways is between the beams, so it gullied out this section. So now I got it going vertical right in the center, and it's in theory on the posts or whatnot, and that one's up against the sidewall. Anyways, it lifted this floor back up, and that door started to work again, although I immediately took it back out. So, no pictures from up above. But if you haven't seen it from the beginning, this is the original River House. And hopefully even that brief tour showed you why we don't live in it. Never could evict all the Mickeys. And I've spent a lot of time trying. Thanks for watching.